Welcome back to another episode of Access Code Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Cody. And if everybody else is watching, Cody. But today, a little different from what I'm normally used to doing, but I gotta take you guys back to a world where before music, before me loving pro wrestling and everything, I gotta go back to Rodeo. And what better way to do that to introduce you guys to two very special individuals. I'm gonna start this off with Bill Pickett, announcer, guy who is booked and busy because always on the road, award-winning announcer, hosts a seminar, Mr. Marcous Friday, and also, thank you, and also 1995 IPRA World Champion, IFR Average Champion, 1998 Resistor Rookie of the Year, and Cowboys of Color All-Around Champion, Mr. Danell Tipton.
Hey man, what's going on?
What's going on, Danell, and everything? Well, fellas, you guys got something special coming up in a few weeks from now, and of course, this will be out by the time you guys see it and everything. But I don't. Where should we start? Should we let's get to know a little bit more about you guys versus just anything else. So I'm gonna start off with you, Mr. Friday.
Okay.
How long you been doing rodeo? Because I know you've been doing it for a minute.
Well, when you speak of doing rodeo, do you mean announcing
Yeah,
or a part of it?
A part of it, yeah.
And it goes all the way back probably 7 years old when my grandfather used to take us to rodeos. And
Okay.
Okmulgee was one that we always looked forward to going to. So I was really intrigued by that. And with that said, as I went back to Tulsa and was hanging around with a guy named Calvin Grimmett. He was the only person I knew that had a horse, and his horse was a Shetland pony. I
Okay.
couldn't ride it, but it was just the point of being around him and going to rodeos with him and his dad, and that kind of got me going.
Okay, I love that. I love that.
True story.
And Tip. Well, I mean, I know you've told your story a lot of times, because you have a couple of documentaries that's out and everything. Now, a lot of my viewers may not be familiar with you. So, how did you get your start in rodeo?
I tell you what, before I was even born, my mom and them belonged to a roundup club called Oklahoma City Paraders. After, my mom was a queen, my grandmother was a princess. It was just so much we were involved, which was a roundup club. My grandfather, Lloyd Tipton got started, and my uncle DeWitt Tipton. So it was just something that I just kind of fell in, father's riding parades with the roundup club. After that, as years go on, when probably around the age of 8, 9 years old, I would just go to rodeos and sit behind the bucking chutes. And bull riding was always the thrill seeker event of rodeo, and it was the most exciting. I guess because the danger was there. As due time go on, probably around 12, East Side Rodeo Roundup Club had a play day. A guy by the name of Arthur Stoner.
Yeah.
He belonged, his dad, Big Stoney, they belonged to, the Oklahoma City Paraders Roundup Club also. So they were a big part of it. Arthur was learning how to ride bareback horses, and from then on, I got to the East Side play day, and Arthur put me on a junior bull, and I was riding the junior bull, slick killing him, just going down a pen, and from then on, I was hooked. So that's how I started learning how to ride bulls, and I got involved.
Okay, I love to hear that. And you mentioned about Arthur Stoney. I don't think I've ever got to see him ride in person, unfortunately. Died too young, too soon. But I know he was definitely one of the best. I know if he would have stayed around for a little bit more longer, we would have more world championships, because I see his name in the IPRA and everything like that. Did you, and that was the only event you wanted to do back in the day, was it bull riding?
Back then as a kid, you wanted to do everything. Everything that had something to do with rodeo. And I just, bull riding, was one of the most popular events then because of the, just the danger, and everybody was kind of like, man, the bull riders I was raised up, watching was like, Skip, Phillips, and of course your dad, was one of the main bull riders back in the day, and this is when I was a kid. So I watched a lot of those guys like the Irvin Williams and the Deion Hendersons and stuff like that. Irvin and Charles Simpson was the ones on television, as a kid coming up that I was watching on TV.
Right.
those was the black guys. Those was the guys that I was like, I want to be like them one day. And so, because back then it wasn't hardly very many blacks on television, you know, doing what we love.
Right.
And so it just kind of made me strive, you know, and having somebody like Arthur Stoner that kind of just took me under his wing. He was 6 years older than me, of course, but somebody had took him under their wing, and then he just kind of kept on with me.
Yeah.
I just, you know, as time went on, you know, I developed a style that from him, you know, learning how to ride bareback horses, you know, getting on his spur magic, because, you know, that's what we had at his house in his buck and burrow. He lived in now is a gang-infested area, you know, which is Garden Days in the east side of Oklahoma City, you know, and he was the only one that had a buck and burrow pull up in the backyard of his house. So all the guys were like, what the heck is he doing back there? So me learning his style of riding bareback horses with a bareback rig and, you know, transferring to bull riding, my style was always using my feet.
Yeah.
So that's why I developed a style of riding bulls, you know, when I started learning how to spur something.
So that's how you learn.
That's how I learned.
You know, I'm gonna tell a story later on before we end the show about that riding style for sure. Mr. Marcous Friday.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing a lot of rodeos. How often would you say you work throughout the whole year?
Wow. Just doing rodeos, man. Actually, even my 2024 calendar, when this actually start getting busy, is the first weekend of April. And I am booked every weekend in April, every weekend in May, every weekend in June. I got one free weekend in July, and every free weekend, well, every weekend in August. I'm booked. So totally, right now, I have probably 35 in the whole year. 35. And that's why I'm going to Catamount, you know, with Lee Beer College. You know, I have to make sure the wife is cool.
Hey,
you know,
I respect
and everything.
that. I respect that. Yes.
And I kind of enjoy it, even though it's quite a bit. You know, and I got a good job that really understands what I'm doing, and I use a little vacation time to kind of help me out. But I love it. I love it.
And I will say one thing about you I love is that you about your business.
I try to be.
A few years ago, I was at I only went to the Slack. I didn't go to the actual show, but this was been about 6 years ago at Tulsa. I want to say I think the Ford Arena, and I remember you had showed up in because I don't know who was announcing prior to, because it was just a Slack. Okay. So I don't know who was announcing, but then when you had came in and then your name, you know, calling out names, and then you named the people right after, like, you know, and of course, if you guys at Oklahoma rodeos, all the rodeos that he would go to, you go here and get it on your mind at least a few times, for real. But somebody did not make it into the shoot. You called their name twice, move on, let's get to it, and then telling everybody, look, y'all be ready, because we got a show later on. We are not about to mess around. And that's why I realized, and I always admired you about, because you always about your business.
Thank you. I try.
Hey, now one person that I had on the show last year, Tiffany Guess, you know, wearing the Legacy Rodeo shirt, you know, great rodeo, and loving the fact that she was able to put that on and everything. Now, I asked her last year, how is it, you know, what's it like working with you and what's the advice? But then I'm going to ask you, what's it like working with Tiffany?
Well, you know, when I first met Tiffany, I think it was through Ramon Jones. She would come up and she'd like, I want to do this, can I do this, can I do that? And I would steady run her off. Come on, you know, come on, leave me alone, you know. It just didn't sink in. But one thing about her, she stayed consistent at every rodeo, and then it started kind of growing on me, and I was like, okay, so I started letting her do the music and everything, and things just kind of clicked with what she was doing, because I was always playing the music and announcing. And when I first started with Charlie Evans, Charlie would announce and I would do the music, so that took a lot off of me, you know, with her doing that. So that's how she kind of came in. And then my son-in-law, Davion Hemphill, he was going to be my sideline commentator, and he had a situation with his family that he couldn't make it to Omogie, so I just threw Tiffany under the bus at the Omogie Rodeo, and she got down there and started doing the commentary and all of that, and everybody loved it. And I guess it was the fact that it was a lady that was doing it, and she did it, you know, real good, and it's just kind of done run off since then. So Tiffany, she's a good asset.
Yeah.
You know, the rodeo and kind of switch it up.
Yeah.
I think commentating is going to be her deal.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I'm told about that all the
but
time. I'm told that
she
she
definitely
have
wanted to
her
be
own
an
podcast.
announcer.
Yeah, oh, she's yeah.
But I think commentating is going to be where she really going to make it at.
And I love that for her, for real.
Yeah.
Tip, you've been around bulls for a minute.
Yeah.
Man, I feel it.
You feel it?
Every time I get up out the bed, I roll over. That's why I'm sponsored by a joint supplement company right here. You know, Summit keeps me moving. I tell you, you know, I see the stories and I hear a lot of things about Cowboy saying, you know, eventually when you retire, you know, you're gonna start feeling more pain than you do when you're riding, and they're absolutely correct. You know, over my years, you know, I've been blessed. You know, I've been blessed. I took a lot of shots to the head that I should have never woke up from. You know, just thank God, and I can knock on wood that I never had no broke arms or broke legs. You know, I broke ribs and I broke my jaw, and you know, I had a couple of internal injuries. You know, punctured lung, cut liver. You know, ruptured spleen. You know, and I could say small stuff like that, but yeah, those are life threatening.
Right.
My brother D'Amico, you know, he you know, D'Amico been probably beat up more than I have. You know, and just, you know, just over the due time, you know, I love what I've done.
Right.
You know, just being a professional cowboy, period, you know, ups and downs, you know, in and outs, you know, up and down that highway, you know, because that's the hardest thing about rodeo is getting to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get to them, riding the bulls is the easiest thing.
Right.
Believe it or not. That's the hardest thing is getting up and down that road, make sure you're getting there safe. I lost a lot of good friends, you know, in accidents, you know, getting to events.
Right.
Things can happen. So, you know, I wouldn't trade my career and I wouldn't trade my job for anything because it was a job to me. It wasn't a hobby.
Right.
It was a way of life. It was a way of living. And that's what we're trying to get these younger cowboys to understand now, that, you know, it's a business. And if you can't treat it like a business, man, you're just better at just to stay around to the smaller open rodeos.
Right, right.
I have, you know, a lot of kids look up to me, and I you know, I direct them in a positive way. I have no negative to me. You know, if you can't be positive, I don't want you around me. You know, and that's simple as that. That's what makes champions. A guy once told me, Donnie Gay told me before, he said, your balance is in your hat. And the way you wear your hat is the way you walk. And I've always kept that in the back of my mind. And every time Donnie Gay see me, he say, nice hat. He said, because I see your balance is on. And I never, ever thought that in my mind until I started passing it on. When I started passing it on, then I felt so much better. I just, you know, I enjoy rodeo, and that's my life. And, you know, it's probably going to be the death of me.
Yeah. You know, one thing is because I mean, I've been watching you since I've been growing up, and you've always remained that same like mentality.
Right.
I've seen it through anything, mind you. I've seen you riding IPRA, PRCA, a couple of PBRs, BR, just all these different things, and you've always remained like solid in everything. And so, and I know a lot of people probably they didn't have that work ethic. And so they thinking that they can kind of, how they may do other people, they probably think they could do that to you. And that's one thing I've always heard, those backstories back from my dad and everything. Actually, since, you know, because for you guys that may not know this, my dad is the first professional, actually, hold on, let me bring that back, professional African-American photographer.
Yes.
And both of these gentlemen here has worked, you know, just even while riding or just to come up and everything. Do you guys have a story about my dad that maybe the audience would love to hear about? A positive story. Hold on, let me specify because I know y'all.
Well, I always like Fly because, you know, I can go back and remember when he was riding bulls. As I was saying earlier, I remember the last time I saw him riding was at Eastside Rondo Club, and he got on some Elmer Anderson bulls over there, and that was before he started taking pictures. I believe. And Fly was a hand. He was tall. You know, you didn't really see a lot of tall bull riders, and he really stood out. But he had a lot of try, and he kind of reminded me of Leg Stevenson or something, because Legs was pretty tall. And how tall is Fly?
6'4".
seemed like he was 6'6", back then, because he was tall, and they don't give you a bull by your size.
Size, yeah.
He might draw a little bull, and he'd get out there and bend his knees. I mean, I didn't see how he kept a foot in.
Yeah.
He was pretty tall.
Man, my memories of Fly, I call him Uncle Fly because, that's my dude. I'm probably in contact with him maybe once or twice a week now. And, he's always in that gym because I live in that gym. I'm in that gym 24/7, and that's probably what's keeping me moving.
Right.
And just talking to your dad the other day, I saw him, out at the gym. He was going to, get his miles in, walking and stuff. And he said, Tip, if I ever sit down, I won't get up. So I got to keep working out. And that ain't in his tone, boy. You got to hear him. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
I love him to death.
Yeah.
But Fly, I got pictures that goes back fathers, 88. Fly took pictures of me. I was, 14, 15 years old, at Circle A Rodeo Company, Elmer Anderson's them stop. I got a lot of old pictures from your dad, and when Fly turned pro, he was the first, African-American photographer, and everybody knows him.
Yes.
Everybody knows him. He's my dude.
Yeah. Even though when you had mentioned about Circle A, that famous picture you on Universal Soldier.
Universal Soldier.
I know.
Your dad, he made me half famous with that picture. I'm on Oklahoma postcards. I'm on Oklahoma postcards. You can get them in all the truck stops, the Hallmarks, and Fly made that happen for me.
Right.
That's good.
It's his picture there, and he showed me one of that the other day. Me and one of my partners, Jay Red, met up with him. And he brought us some photos and stuff for our awards show, and he showed me a picture of Universal Soldier when he was in the air and I was getting thrown off of him, and he's like, I said, man, you don't have to show me that.
Yeah. That you talking about the second shot.
Yeah, the second shot.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, for years I never saw that second shot. I'm like, that's why. Oh, okay.
You thought he was pulling the foot?
I'm just saying. Oh, that's good. Well, real quick, actually, let me share this real quick before we get into why we're also here and everything. I want to share this story with you, Tip, because you were my favorite rodeo cowboy. Like, for real. Ever since I've seen you and everything, and my dad would talk you up even when we would go to rodeo. You may not even be at and everything. A couple of things. One, this is gonna sound crazy to you, but you know that I didn't know you, but I didn't think you buck off of anything. Because every rodeo I was at one point, every time I'm in the crowd, you in the bull riding, you were either winning or you covered your bull. And also with that being said, you being in the PRCA in '98, that's when I started to understand the standings. Because I never read up on like stats like that. So I'm just seeing it and I'm like, okay. So I remember it was you and Craig Chavez was in the rookie standings. And I'm just sitting there like, come on, Tip, like, get up there. Right? Yeah, just, get in everything. And then, so I remember seeing you at the Lazy, you rode that bull. Then Ponca City, you rode that bull. And Coffeyville, you rode one and everything. All up until the Prairie Circuit Finals, day one. That's the first time I seen you buck off. And you would have told, at that time, y'all could have told me that Santa Claus wasn't real. And I would have believed that before knowing that Tip you don't buck off. You don't buck off.
Happen.
Right, it don't happen because it's hard to throw him off. Yeah. But my favorite memory is, I want to say either 02 or 03, Oklahoma City State Fair. And you in the bull riding. And here's the thing, I've never seen you ride two in a row. As in, when I say like the long go and the short go. You did it at Tucson, you did it at Pendleton, you did it at Fort Smith. But I wasn't at those rodeos. Not at those rodeos. Tip is up. He's up at Saturday night, Riders Bull, 88, 89 points. So I'm going to tell you the backstory because you won't know this one. My dad, obviously, is the photographer. So if you guys ever go to like a rodeo and you see like extra lights flashing, that's the photographer because they have to set up the strobe lights up like on the ceiling. Or if it's outdoor rodeo, up on like a little extra pole just because they got to get a good color of the shots. Because you can't shoot from far and then the quality and everything. So he's going up. And by the time he had turned his lights off, because you got to turn them off because the batteries and everything got to run and stuff, he's coming back down. And I just said, man, I wish today was Sunday. Because Because you would have won the rodeo by that point and everything. Next day, y'all, Danell drew Suncoast from Butler & Son.
Wow.
And I'm in the crowd.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, God, don't buck off this bull. Because you just need 2 to win. I don't even know who was winning the rodeo at that point. Danell, that bucket shoe open. Just them, because that's one thing about I loved your riding style. I know everybody talks about Urban. I never got to see Urban ride in person, but I did get to see you.
Yeah.
Just 91 points. I'm going crazy because you had won this rodeo. I didn't even before they even announced the score. I knew you had won it because right in the gate,
Yeah.
you know, and stuff like that.
Is this a true story?
It's true.
He's gonna write your book.
He's taking a picture right there.
There you go, right there.
Wow.
Well, all right, real quick because they talk about my memory. I don't know if you ever knew this, but when you 98 at the National Times Rodeo, you had the back number 67. 1999,
Wow.
IFR, because I remember because they always used to have the books and stuff.
Yeah.
The Miko had the same back number, and I thought before I didn't know
He's writing
that.
your book.
I didn't know that they do the back numbers based on how much money everybody wins.
Everybody
Yeah.
come in.
I thought they was just gave that to him because you had that number. I swear to God, I'm not joking. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, that was one of my favorite memories from you and everything.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
I'm going to say this right here. You know, people seem to amaze me on how well they can remember stuff that I can't remember. But when he got to lining it up, putting it together for us, the short rounds, and me winning, riding 2 bulls in Pendleton and, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Tucson, Arizona, I'm just shocked.
Right. You.
I mean, it even goes farther as the naming the bulls that I rode at Oklahoma City. I mean, he's on point. The back numbers, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow. And that goes to a point to where, every kid pays attention.
Yep.
And so that makes you walk the way you walk and
Right.
talk the way you talk.
Right.
And that's why I'm such a good cowboy, because if anybody says anything bad, it's because they made it up.
Right.
Right.
That's
You know,
so true.
Because you always remember the bad things people do and not most of the good things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just,
That was nice. That was
it's
good.
unbelievable,
That's
man.
a good job, man.
That was good.
And I'm glad I can walk the way I walk.
Right.
And guys like yourself, as a kid can remember everything that somebody good does.
Right.
It shocks me. It shocks
How
me.
old were you then?
Oh, dang! I was in middle school.
Really?
I couldn't tell you my age at
That's
that
awesome.
time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things, it was just like reading up, like really like Danell's a hero of mine. I'm not
Did
just
you
saying
ever get
that.
his autograph?
You know what's so crazy? I don't.
You need to get it.
That's true. That's
Daddy
true.
was a
But
photographer.
here's the thing. I'll get an autograph for somebody, but I knew Danell. It's like
There
you
if
go.
he say that's Uncle Fly, that's like my cousin, right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's
Right.
and everything.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I may not necessarily need the autograph because we had those
You
pictures.
got him, right?
Yeah, and him, yeah.
You got me a phone call
We
away.
went folk, yeah. We made this happen and everything like that. All right, but another reason why we're here, you guys, is because coming up on February 10th, here at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, we're going to be having the first ever Black Cowboy Rodeo Awards and Gala. Now, this is a big deal, gentlemen.
It is.
Big deal, and I had to cover this because just the fact that even when we would talk about just like the PRCA rodeos, the IPRA rodeos, and everything like that, we don't have a lot of us at these rodeos.
Right.
So even the fact that I knew Danell, but then I'm knowing about Fred Whitfield, Bud Ford, and then even today's people, Corey Solomon and Shad Mayfield and John Douch and all that, and then but the legends before is Murtis and then Charles Sampson and all these things, and the fact that this is a big deal, and I'm happy that we finally got to do this. I'm happy we get to witness this, and then you guys got people not even just from Oklahoma that's coming in, got people from all over.
Yes.
So what made you guys decide to come up and do this?
Well, I'm amazed as you are, with this happening. I actually got a phone call from Danell, and Danell told me what his thoughts was, and he said him and Jay have been talking and discussing this, and asked me about hosting it, and I was like, man, I got so much information. I was excited from the time he said it.
Right.
And when he started, giving me his idea and all of that, I never had the idea, but I liked the idea.
Right.
And the way he laid it out and everything, I said, you're talking about 60 years or more of history
Right.
that can take place. And every day that I think more and more about this, I think about never ever will you see this many black legends, world champions, future or whatever in one room
Yeah.
at the same time. So for me, I need to get a ticket, because I mean it's historical.
Yes, it
and,
is.
And I'm glad he called me, and asked me about it, and asked me about hosting it, and asked me to be a part of it, and this and that. And so what I'm gonna do is 24/7. I'm putting information out for the people to see, what's going on. So
Yeah.
I want to personally thank Danell for just including me into it.
Of course. And Tip, I'm happy that you were able to do this. Now, did the idea also come from, because last year around this time, we were here, well, at least in the different part of it, but Riding Legacy documentary, which was a beautiful film, and everybody that was a part of that, kudos to y'all for real. But did that idea also come into effect as well?
Well, us as Black Cowboys, we're always trying to, and especially if you're a producer, especially if you're a promoter, if you're on that end of it, because after I retire from getting on bulls, I've always bulldog too. I've always steer wrestled, and when I was traveling back in the day, when I started back in the International Pro Rodeo Association, Stoney steer wrestled too, and he was, then he was traveling with Clarence LeBlanc, Jesse Guillory, and when I got in the truck with them guys, of course I had to learn how to steer wrestle.
Right.
So I learned a lot from them guys, and so I always listened to Clarence, and Clarence said, there's another end of rodeoing. He said, because you can't rodeo all your life.
That's true.
So have a game plan if you enjoy rodeoing. So when Clarence kind of instilled that into my head, I started going to the judging clinics. That way I can always have something to fall back on. I can always be a part of it.
Yeah.
And so then I started doing I started going to the judging clinics, learning more about the events. And I did. So getting into that, fast forwarding, I wanted to kind of do something, now, and I said, you know what, we need to, shoot a Cowboy and Cowgirls calendar, and put all our rodeos in the back of that calendar, let everybody know we have Black Cowgirls out here also. Right. We have, these are the Black Cowboys out here, and start just kind of doing the calendar, every 6 months. Yeah. I reached out to Jay Red, after being a part of, Riding Legacy, he, him and Keon started filming and stuff like that, and I'm a part of most of the rodeos around Oklahoma City, the Cowboys of Color here in Oklahoma City, Oak Muggy, I'm a part of that, and this year I got Bowley's Rodeo, so and then I have my own 2 annual rodeos I do, try to do every year. Yeah. So started to kind of getting into producing and stuff like that. I had reached out to Jay Red and said, hey man, I have an idea. And so Jay's like, well, let me get a hold of a photographer and that I know, and we just kind of go that route. Yeah. So he set up a meeting, me, him, and the young lady, and we met at Starbucks, and we kind of set our game plan out for this calendar. Yeah. And so after the meeting was over, me and Jay Red stayed there, and we just kind of laughing and talking, and Jay said, haven't ever been in an award show, a Black Rodeo award show? And I was sitting there and I was like, I looked at him, I say, it has now. And
I
so,
love that.
So Jay's idea, kind of made a circle around me. And so as we were walking outside of Starbucks headed to our vehicles, I say, let me write some stuff up. Let me get some stuff down. I say, if there's anybody that I want to bring on board, I say it'd be Marcous Friday. And Jay said, I'm hyped now, let's do it. So I got home, I started writing things down. About 2 days later, I called Marcous. I say, Marcous, this is my idea. I say, I told him about Jay. I say, we want to do a Cowboy, National Black Rodeo Cowboys Award show in Oklahoma City. I say, wouldn't be no better place to do it than the National Cowboy Museum. Right. I say, I come up here to the museum once a month to do autographs already for events that they have going on.
Oh, okay.
So I already had a relationship, with the Cowboy Hall of Fame. Okay. They're shooting a documentary on me right now. Jay and Keon, them is shooting a documentary right now on me. So, hopefully one day I get inducted into the Cowboy Hall of Fame. Yes. Which is, it's in play right now. So hopefully things work out right. Yeah. But, after I reached out to Marcous, I knew Marcous had a lot of knowledge. I know he's been around rodeo all his life, from, a kid. we know everybody. You know, if we don't, we know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Right. That's how it
You know,
is.
so,
That's how it starts.
we started writing things down, putting things on black and white, you know, and shoot. Next thing I know, here we are.
Yeah, hey.
Here we are. And this thing that got so big, you know, it's bigger than what we figured, but it's the first time it's been done.
I was just about to say that. The first time this is happening, like normally it kind of takes a couple to kind of move it along, but then even just a few minutes when we were just all chopping it up and then finding out that how it went from just like a, you know, like, okay, this is what we got, and now phone calls every day and stuff like that. I'm happy I was able to get in touch with you just to do this.
You know what? I couldn't ask to work with a better group of guys.
Right.
You know, Marcus and Jay. Everybody has knowledge. We have knowledge in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Our job at this award show is in different areas. If I can't answer your question, I'm gonna send you to him because he can.
Right.
If he can't answer your question, we're gonna send you to Jay because he can.
Right.
You know, so you know when you got guys thinking alike and thinking on outside the box, everything will work out.
Right.
You know, and the phone calls that we get is ridiculous, some of them, but you know, and we try to stay on the positive track.
Yeah.
Everybody wants an award.
Yeah.
You know, regardless if you rode a Shetland when you were, when you were 6 years old. You know, everybody wants an award. You know, and they want to be awarded for that. But the thing is, that's not what we're not giving things away. You have to earn this.
Right.
And these are the door openers. You know, we reach farther, you know, going out to the, you know, late 50s and 40s and 60s and, you know, that far back off in time.
Right.
You know, when back in days when Murder Dykeman wasn't allowed to ride in the performance, he had to ride after the performance. People don't know that. We need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge our guys, you know, like Charles Sampson, our guys like Fred Winfield, and, you know, so on. It goes deeper than that.
It does.
It goes way deeper than that. So we need to let these people know who these people are. So Marcus, he has so much knowledge, and he knows, you know, just as many as people as I do. But you know, he got me by age, so of course he's gonna know the older folks.
Thanks.
You know, so, just, you know, you can see mine ain't got great, but he does.
Wisdom.
There you go. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Marcus, I'll let you-
Right, but you know, this deal, I get nervous a little bit before you're not. So Rodeo and Charlie Evans, who trained me, always said if you're not nervous, you don't need to be being a part of it. And this is making me nervous because, as Danell said, with Jay and him and everybody bringing something to the table, I put on the Juneteenth Rodeo for 27 years, and 90% of it was just me. And I see roundup clubs and stuff that have 30, 40 people in the club, you know, and they're struggling. And I was like, wow. I said, they must not all be working.
Right.
And then when you really find out, it might be 3 or 4 people that's really doing all the work, but the day of the rodeo, all 30 of them is coming out, you know, to be a part.
Right.
And when I call Jay about something, I mean, he right on it. He fix it. You know, if I have asked a question, he fix it. Danell will call me and ask me about this and that, and we'll just bond with this. And they are really making this really comfortable for me, even though we don't know what to expect, but we
Right.
expect
Right.
what we expect. Do that make sense?
Makes sense.
You know, so everything is really coming together. I'm really excited to see all the people in here. I get a chance to work with Chris Carter, a guy that's going to host it with me that I've never met him personally, but I've heard so much about it.
Right.
So I think the connection is going to be good, and I think everybody that's going to be here is going to really enjoy the layout that we have put together.
Yeah.
And hopefully everything is good. So get your tickets.
Of
You can go to
course.
Eventbrite, get those tickets. They're selling right now. We definitely don't want you to miss out on this.
You do not want to miss out. You got great sponsorships, you know, Cowboy channels coming through. That's a big deal right there. We will also, you name some people that also going to be here as well.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, this thing that took off as big as we figured it, we didn't figure it would, you know. But when people start reaching out to us via email and you know phone calls and you know text messaging and all that stuff, man, you know, you start your hairs on your neck start sticking up there because then you be like, gosh, man, because people that call me, it's people I heard about but I never met and I never knew. You know, you got so many guys that you know, older guys from in the 80s, you know, that's 81 years old, 82, 87, that's coming because back then, during I'm gonna say, back in the 40s and in the 50s, they had the rodeo was a circus. It was rodeo circus, and this is information that I'm getting from the older guys that I've been communicating with that's coming here from Minnesota or from Michigan or from New York or from New Jersey, Cowtown, Chicago. You have so many of those northern folks because the people in the South are so used to rodeoing, and we don't never think there's cowboys up that far when you go north.
Right.
So it's so many of them. It's so many of them that we did not know about that's reaching out, that's coming. We supposed to have a great event. We putting a heck of a category together, and we have our 2003 nominations. That's the only event. The 2003 is the only thing we have nominations for. And we have this top 6 hottest cowboys and cowgirls in each event. And we let them vote for themselves who they thought was hot, so it's the People's Choice Award.
Okay.
We have, our categories for the, rodeo associations, the producers, the stock contractors, the bullfighters. We have our judges, the bullfight. We have all those categories. We have our fallen memorial list that all the cowboys that's on there, and we at 65, 66, in our fallen cowboys list from day one, and we're probably still missing some.
200 more.
Exactly. So my thing is, Father's putting this thing together. Our mission statement is next year, we're going to involve, the Horse Racing Commission, all our blacks, our reining fraternities, our cutting horse, association, our Farmers and Ranchers Bureau, our Black Country Award, music awards, because now we have all our awards under one roof with the Rodeo Cowboys. So we're going to have to eventually, go somewhere where a bigger venue, downtown Oklahoma City, to the Civic Center, somewhere like that. We have some great sponsors, Wrangler and Cinch, Boot Barn. We have some great sponsors, that you couldn't ask for better people to be involved. We're televised on the Cowboy Channel. We have a great crew that's working with us in different areas. We have so many black country artists that's reaching out that want to be a part of it because they don't see a bunch of black cowboys in one room when they perform. They see, they have the Caucasian crowd, and that's what they see. And so they all reaching out wanting to come perform. And I was telling Jay, I was like, we don't have a concert. We have an award show. We want everybody to be part of it, but we're going to have our awards for that next year where everybody can come together and everybody, it might be a 2-day deal, but we're going to make it happen. That's our mission. So right now everything is going great. We're here at the Cowboy Hall of Fame Museum right now. We just getting some stuff ironed out, coming, go over our buys, and man, I'm excited.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great award show and everything like that. But you guys right now, if you are on Facebook, definitely follow the page, the National Black Rodeo Cowboys and Cowgirls pages on Facebook. You running it and everything like that. You guys look up some old history because there's some pictures of great cowboys and cowgirls that are just been doing this for a long time, and then just the fact that it's just so much going on in the awards and everything. You guys, thank you so much for being on this week's episode.
Thank you for having us.
To everybody out there, I love to say I love you guys, I truly do, and I can't wait to see you guys again.
Here's Danell Tipton, Spencer, Oklahoma, going for the World Championship. We had an opportunity to speak with Danell about his bull tonight.
Well, he should be about 2 or 3 and round the right or left. I seen him go earlier this week where Billy Ray Bird had him Thursday night, and he threw Billy Ray Bird off, and he was like 3 and round the right. And I'm left-handed, and Billy Ray Bird was left-handed. And Billy Ray Bird told me, he'd say, he just get in there just a little bit, he'll sling you out of there. So it's going to be pretty good watching, I think.
I think it will be too, Danell. Danell hasn't gotten a check this week, but he's ridden all 3 bulls. He's got Wolverine of the Treadway Rodeo Company, and he's got a heck of a bull ride started. The bull turned just like Danell thought he would. He's a happy cowboy, and he's got some fans up there who are pretty happy with him. This Cowboy is going to score 87 points and could win the world.
Well, he did come out. He did come around to that right, just like Danell said he would. Then he came back to the left, right into his hand there. And this bull is really bucking. A lot of drop in the front end. Danell's really moving over there to stay with him. Then back to the right again. Tell you what, Wolverine was making some moves also, but Danell made a little better move.